Let's start with this. Number of guys. Just respect all the work that they put in since spring, and some guys even longer potentially. That have been here with us. I just appreciate everything that they've given and that they brought to the team, but also themselves. And I told those guys they should be proud of themselves, and this will shake out in the next 72 hours. No matter what happens, they should be proud of themselves and just keep pushing forward. So. That's what this is. It's hard. It's hard this time of year, and you hate it for some of these guys because of what they do. They lay it on the line. As far as the game, put a huge burden on the defense there. You go 1 of 7, third down, and 0 for 2 on fourth down. That's a major strain on your defense. So would have liked to gotten some 3 and outs on defense. That helps alleviate something there, but just not good enough. In that regard.
I don't know if my first read is right, but a lot of times the last preseason game you want somebody to jump, have a big game, one of those bubble guys. Didn't seem necessarily like that happened today. I don't know if you agree with that just on first glance, and if so, what does that do to evaluations?
Yeah, well, if it is, it would have to be somebody who's doing dirty work. That you're not going to it won't necessarily pop. You're going to have to go watch the tape, because I don't disagree with I didn't feel like anything else really was very glaring in a positive manner, if you will.
Kyle and
Isaac, first the slant on the third down, and then the deep play. What did you see there, and just in this whole preseason from those two guys?
I thought Kyle did a good job again. This is 3 games in a row, and practice too. We can't ever forget about these practices. He's really, he had some errors in that Chargers game to start the season out, and really from then he's just gotten better and better and better. And today was just evidence again of him, really stepping up. Man, I thought he did a good job. That drive was outstanding. The third down was really good throw. Tesla took the time to win. It was a very composed route. It was a very detailed route, which that tells you that he's taking the coaching and he's growing. And then the fade was just a beautiful ball, beautiful route, beautiful catch. So I was pleased with both of those guys. It's good to see Kyle really take it to where he's gone. Feel very comfortable with him. And then Tesla. He just continues to get better and better. And every time he makes a play, every time he does something, you gain the trust of everybody around you, the coaches, but also your teammates that are watching.
How good of the evaluation could you get on Tesla, just based on how little first team action you saw in terms of facing your top cornerbacks, facing top cornerbacks of the other team? Is that just naturally part of where his development is, or do you need to maybe see him against carry on and read here before the season gets going?
No, I feel pretty good. I mean, look, he gets those guys in one-on-ones. He gets them in practice a little bit, and our 2 corners are they're good players. This isn't like we need to go find somebody that so he's taking reps with the ones. He's been in there with golf. He's had to run on good versus good. So he's no different than any young player. He's just gonna have some growing pains, and he's going to have to continue to get better and better. But I'm very pleased. We're very pleased with where he's at after 6 weeks of camp, because that's really what it's been. We just finished 6 weeks. So I would say if you took most receivers, he'd be in the upper echelon of those as far as development. It's pretty good, because it's not easy to develop as a receiver in this league and be ready to go. And I think there's a place for him to help us early in this season.
Do you anticipate having tough decisions on cut day, or do you have a pretty good grasp of who you like and who you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be a couple of areas where we got to decide, what we want to do. I think most of it feels pretty good. We have a pretty good feel, pretty good idea. We know what the vision is for the player, where they belong. But there'll be a couple that'll be difficult, but because I think some of it too is really like the player, but no different than what other teams do to our roster. Brad, we're looking for, if we can upgrade in some areas, can we upgrade? And are they better than somebody we may be talking about keeping? Those are the hard things, So we'll see, we'll see where that is.
One more
talked the other day about the pros and cons of keeping a third quarterback. Just as this comes to an end, what are some of the things that you're weighing when it comes to him and the pros and cons of his preseason so far?
Well, just as far as keeping the third quarterback, or
And his play.
yeah, I mean, I think, look, it's always going to be, how much development do you believe there is? All right, because look, we're talking about Hooker right now. Okay, so how much development do you believe there still is? Sometimes does the player need to change the scenery? What is it? What about our own depth in other areas? I mentioned this the other day. Relative to that, all right, maybe there's room to grow. Okay, well, is that worth it for the depth that we need at O-line, D-line, receiver, DB? And so those are all things you got to weigh. Look, I wish Hooker would, and I know he does, would have had a little bit better outing, but it's also, you got to take it with a grain of salt. It's not like he was playing with our first O-line out there or first team skill position, all of that, right? So you take that all into account as well. So, I thought he was prepared. I thought he was ready and looked pretty calm, and it just, circumstances didn't work out today, that's all.
Did Nowoski and Strickland show you a little something today?
What's that?
Nowoski and Strickland show you a little bit today?
Well, they made plays, right? I thought both of those guys, when there was a play being made that really stuck out, those were the two guys that were making them. That was good to see. I did think Now played at a high level today. I thought you could see the physical, but I thought, man, he was in it mentally. Like, he was pretty locked in. I thought he was, which, look, that's all, some of that is raw for him playing the stack backer. And he was running the mic, the middle linebacker, making the calls, and then I just thought he played a pretty cerebral game too, which is good to see, man. That means he's growing and developing. And then certainly Strick, man, he's a ball hawk. He finds the ball, and he did that again, man. 2 big plays down there in the red zone were good to see.
How about Dave and Larry last year? Sailors, just what got banged up, got his ankle retake, went back in there today. Huge numbers, but he always seems to gain yards. Just what have you seen from him throughout camp?
Look, I've said this before, I kind of like Sailors, man, and I mean that in a good way. Like, there's something about him, man. He's kind of a football player. He's pretty crafty, pretty nifty. He's got detail to what he does, man. The runs, the landmarks, the check downs. So there's something there, and we like him, and it was good to see him go back in there and play a little bit. So I think he's a football player.
And a couple weeks from the opener, what are your big picture view of this team and where you're at right now? What do you like?
Well, what do I not like? Thank God it's here almost. It's time, it's time to get ready for the season and this opener, get ready to go to Lambeau. I love where our team's at. There again, we just finished basically 5 weeks of true work on the grass, and we've gotten better and better every week on both sides of the ball. I feel like we've really progressed. We've gotten 2 different looks from other teams too, Miami and Houston this week. And I just think we've gotten a variety of work. I think we've tested each other. I think we've grown from it. And I think we're going to be ready to go. I'm fired up right now. So we're going to be good.
Just real quick, updates on Graham and Vaki from practice?
Yeah, Graham should be good. Vaki, we'll see. That could be a tick longer, but it's not a major thing. Yeah, that could be tough. That was we're getting tests on that, but that was a significant injury, it looks like.